Hey folks, what's up? This is Adam here, aka Cena Guy. Right, we've come up to the fifth instalment in the Hellraiser franchise. Hellraiser 5 Inferno. That one right there. Which I'll admit straight away, definitely not the best one in the series. But this was the first one that got released straight to DVD, because I mean the first four movies, Hellraiser 1, Hellbound, Hell on Earth and Bloodline, they all went straight to cinema. But I guess Part 4, Bloodline, didn't make as much money as I thought it would. So the films, after that, went straight to DVD. This is the multi-feature Blu-ray edition, by the way. Contains 4 Hellraiser movies. Bloodline, Inferno, Hellseeker and Hellworld, but not Deader. You know what I mean? Which I'm not heartbroken about, because Dead is a piece of shit. And sadly, after Hellraiser 5 Inferno, they are all pieces of shit. But if you notice in the title in this one, I'm not ranting. This is a review, not a rant. Meaning, there was some things I liked about this movie. I mean, in Hellraiser Bloodline, I straight up rambled and ranted about that movie. There was only 3 things I liked about that movie, and that was, you know, the dog Cenobite. I thought that was cool. I like the no more games and the chain went through that guy's throat. Love that fucking scene. And it was nice to see Kim Marsh, who was in the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. She was in that movie, so that was 3 good facts. But when I talk about how many facts I like about Hellraiser Inferno, there's actually more than 3. I thought this film had some creepy elements to it, you know. But at the same time, the other thing I'm trying to admit here is that this does not feel like a Hellraiser movie. It feels like a movie, but just called Hellraiser. You know what I mean? Because I will admit, the films from here do not feel like Hellraiser movies. They feel like films where they're going to be horror movies, but they've just thrown Pinhead in it. You know what I mean? That's what this movie feels like. But again, I'll admit it's not great, but I think it's good to some extent. Hellraiser Inferno. I didn't hate the movie. I hate Hellseeker. I hate Deader. I don't like Hellworld. Fucking loathe that piece of shit. Revelations and Judgment I've not seen. But this is the last one in the series I like, and I can't wait to get the other rants over and done with, you know what I mean, because I don't like ranting, you know, and all that shit. But anyway, let's get on with Inferno. It's about this cop, you know, and he's not a nice guy. He does drugs, cheats on his wife with hookers, you know, and you know, he does a lot of bad things in his spare time, you know, like I said, with the drugs and cheating on his wife and all that. He's got a wife and child at home, but, you know, he's cheating on them and all that kind of shit. Okay. And he gets called to this crime scene where a guy who he knew from school has been murdered. And at the murder scene, they find the puzzle box. He takes the puzzle box. And there's a scene of him in the bathroom where he's looking at the box and the lights sort of flicker and go out. But that from that scene onwards, he's in his own hell. Okay, we don't know that till the end of the movie. But from this movie onwards, he's in his own hell. And I think we'll see some creepy moments in this. I mean, I'll go through the creepy moments. One that pops in my head straight away was definitely that hospital scene where there's that guy in a straitjacket in a wheelchair. His face has been pulled by the chains and he laughs like a child before disappearing down the hallway. That was a creepy scene. I thought the bedroom scene was a creepy scene, you know, where he's in his bedroom, which we think was his when he was a kid. You know? I think it was a creepy factor at the fact he was finding child's fingers in every crime scene in this. Because when he goes to a crime scene, he keeps finding all these child's fingers. Creepy element. Very disturbing scene was these female Cenobites who were caressing him, and they put their hands through his chest and caressing his body, you know, with their hands, you know, in his flesh and like wiping all the blood all over his skin, and they're licking him with these big long tongues. I'm thinking, okay, disturbing. I love the sounds in this movie. You know, there's a scene where he's in the mental hospital and he can hear his parents dying. He can't see it, but he can hear his parents dying. And there's that scene where he lifts up the covers of this hospital bed and there's just blood there. Again, no body, you can only hear the sounds. So some creepy elements. you know. And what makes you laugh about this movie is the fact that this cop is a dickhead. You know what I mean? He's a complete douche, like. But at the same time, you can't help but feel sorry for him because he's experiencing all of this. He's going through all of this. I mean, the end sequence, just before he's ripped apart by the chains, you're thinking, "Jeez, that was harsh." But you know, I would say he was one of those likable characters, but at the same time, I felt a little sorry for him because of everything he was experiencing. Even though he did cheat on his wife, even though he did do drugs and sleep with hookers and all that, you know, big deal, you know. You can't help but have a little element inside of you that makes you feel sorry for this guy because of everything he's experiencing. Um, One downfall I will say about this movie is that Pinhead did not have enough screen time. You know, John Bradley comes back for the fifth time to rinse his role as Pinhead, but we don't see much of Pinhead. I mean, I don't even think we see 10 minutes of him in this movie. The only time when we see him is where he's going down them stairs, where he's trying to get away from those Cenobites. He opens the door and Pinhead's standing there, and then he wakes up from the dream. And I'm not kidding, the next time we see Pinhead is right at the end, when he's trying to explain to him that he's in his own hell, he's created this old hell for himself. You know what I mean? So, Pinhead did not have enough screen time in this movie. That's one of the reasons why I say this does not feel like a Hellraiser movie. I mean, in terms of the Cenobites were great. The female Cenobites were great. There's a creepy one by the staircase. And then we get like the engineer Cenobite, who looks a lot like the Chatterer, you know, in the other Hellraiser movies. And he's got like these things over his eyes. You know, we get that scene. But, you know, this cop is going to all these different crime scenes. He's finding all these kids' fingers, you know. There's a scene where he talks to the hooker on the phone and you can hear her dying. He goes to her place. She's been slaughtered, you know. But he shows you all these different sequences of this guy going through. It's like a big story of his life. You know, the bedroom was meant to be his when he was a kid. You know, experiencing all the suffering sounds from his parents dying. You know, the mental hospital scenes. There's even a scene with his psychiatrist. You know, where he's getting scenes with his psychiatrist and like, he keeps telling him to go home and relax and all that kind of shit. So, I'd be a liar if I said that this movie was a piece of shit. I don't think it was a piece of shit. I agree it's not the best one in the Hellraiser franchise, and I even admit it doesn't even feel like a Hellraiser movie. But I thought the movie had creepy elements. I mean, in Bloodline, there was no creepy elements. I mean, there were some cool scenes, like I mentioned, like the Cenobite dog and all that. Cool scenes. But this one seemed to have like more creepy scenes to it, you know, in my opinion. It does feel a bit cheaper, the scenes, you know, more low budget. But at the same time, the problem is not the acting, it's not the creepy scenes. It's just the fact it was known as a Hellraiser movie. That's all it was. I think that's the only downfall to it. But again, I didn't hate the movie. There's some things I enjoyed about this movie. It doesn't even feel like a long movie. And like I said, it's on Blu-ray in this edition. There's nothing to go mad about in terms of the fucking special features, because there aren't any. I mean, this movie came in the year 2000. In fact, I'll be able to tell you the precise date this movie came out. October 3rd of 2000. Yeah, directed by Scott Derrickson. That rings a bell. Wasn't Scott Derrickson the same director who did The Exorcism of Emily Rose? So let me look him up real quick. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, The Exorcism of Emily Rose in 2005. Yeah, he directed that movie and he was also the writer. He's also directed Urban Legends, The Final Cut and Land of Plenty. Devil's Knot, Deliver From Us, Sinister 2. So he has directed some memorable titles. I knew I recognised his name straight away, Scott Derrickson. Yeah. So yeah, in 2000 he directed this movie. In terms of the ending, I thought the ending wasn't the problem. I thought we had a good ending. I like the ending where, you know, he's in that room, that dark room. He sees the little boy in a chair with no fingers, which turns out to be him when he was a child. The engineer Cenobite was like in the flesh image of him. And Pinhead's basically explaining to him, this is the hell you've created for yourself. You've made other people suffer around you. And he gets these chains go through his flesh and pulling on his face and all that, you know, ripping him apart. And just before the credits roll, he gets completely dismembered, you know. So I like the ending, but, you know, they go through a lot of shit. I mean, there was one scene in this movie, I can't fucking believe they put this in. It was the most unneeded scene, especially for a Hellraiser movie. That's the scene where he was in that bar and he got beat up all by them cowboys. I'm thinking, what the fuck, man? Why have you put that in this movie? Do we really need a scene in a Hellraiser movie where a guy goes to a bar full of cowboys and gets fucking beaten up? Do we really need that? So, that was one little bit of time waster in this movie that we did not need. You know, that bar scene with the cowboys. I mean, what the fuck was all that about? Why did you put that in this movie? Was that really needed? It kind of felt like it was put in the movie to like try and help pass the time, because this movie's like on for 100 minutes. You know what I mean? And that seemed like a bit of a piss break, or like a you know, a bit of a time filler. You know, a bit of a time waster. What else is there? Yeah, Craig Sheffer played the detective in this, Joseph Throne. I'm just looking at some other work he's done. Yeah, he was in Nightbreed as well. He was in Nightbreed, the program, Fire in the Amazon. He's done plenty of work. In 2019, he did Widow's Point as well. So he's done some memorable roles. So in this film, he like plays this asshole cop, but you can't help but feel sorry to him on a certain level. This asshole cop who does drugs and has sex with hookers and, you know, cheating on his wife and all that kind of shit. But again, at the same time, he goes through a lot of shit. You know, all these different sequences of going through his own personal hell, basically. Yeah, but again, it's such a shame that we had that scene with the cowboys. And again, it's the other reason why I said this film doesn't feel like a Hellraiser movie is because Pinhead did not get enough screen time. Again, he appeared in that little scene at the bottom of the stairs where he opens the door, and the last bit you see of him is at the ending where he's telling the story. And again, so that's the reason why this did not feel like a Hellraiser movie, because Pinhead did not get enough screen time. I have to say, the screen time for Pinhead in this is probably the least amount he got in any Hellraiser movie. Because I remember in a lot of these films, Pinhead got a lot of screen time, but in this he didn't seem to get any. It was good to see Doug Bradley come back, I suppose, but screen time wise there was not much. There's not more than 10 minutes, if that, of Pinhead. So the fact that it's a Hellraiser movie kind of hurts it, because again, it had creepy elements, it had a good story. I didn't think the acting was the problem. You know, the problem was it was a Hellraiser movie. Maybe it would have worked if it was given a different title and they added more good gags and more into the story, then maybe, yeah, it could have had the DC of being like a great horror movie. You know what I mean? But it's still, at the same time, it's hard to rant on, because I don't think it's a piece of shit. The others are, but not this one. Mixed emotions about it, more than anything. Not a great movie, but I'd say just good on certain levels. Okay. That's basically my review for Hellraiser Inferno, everybody. We've come to the end now of where they become good. Like I said, this was the first one that got released to DVD. The rest are the same. Hellseeker, Hellworld, Dead Air, all got released straight to DVD, and I can understand why. They're a horrendous piece of shit, and I'm dreading it now because they're all going to be rants after this review, and I just can't be arsed. I just want to get these over and done with. The best ones have all been reviewed now. Now we're getting to the worst ones in the franchise, so here we fucking go. Please like, rate, comment this, everybody. Email if you've got any questions, and leave all your thoughts and comments below. Thanks for watching. That's Hellraiser 5 Inferno. Peace out.